Good morning, everyone. This is the Socio-Ecological Sustainability Leadership Seminar, section 1.3. And I'm going to do this presentation on ancient and modern holism. Sri Devi Bringi was supposed to give us a talk in this section, and we postponed that talk due to some medical issues that she had. And hopefully we'll hear from her later. So I'm going to go through this somewhat lengthy presentation. It was one of the more difficult ones that I had to prepare for this because it's a very controversial topic, and so there's lots of details to try to make sure we get right, or at least cover the varying opinions about. So I'll begin by talking about the geography and climate in the Indus Valley and the history of that climate change that may have driven many important cultural changes. And then we'll look at the Indus Valley civilization itself, what characterizes it, and then go into theories of Vedic origins, because what I'm doing here is taking a look at the idea that the Vedic culture and the Indus Valley civilization may have been the same. Then we'll look at the Vedic worldview and what I think was a loss of holism following that era, going into modern times. And then we'll look at an analysis of the holistic ideas that I think were in the Indus Valley. So I've listed here at the bottom some interesting videos and slides which you can find on YouTube. There's the links. Hopefully you can copy that from the slide or go to Dropbox, and the links should be there. Oh, actually, I'm sorry, not Dropbox, but D2L. So let's begin now with the land use history that you've already seen in this very interesting video that goes back 8,000 years before the present. And here, notice this red oval here is the what I think is a hole in the data where the Indus Valley sits. And this whole region was buried under the Thar Desert, and so much of the history was really lost. And it was also, in a sense, buried by political and ideological theories, and we'll go through some of that. But if you notice, in ancient times, 2,500 years ago, India was perhaps the most developed landscape on the earth. And so there's a very long history of involvement with the landscape in India, and one could say sustainability. And in fact, that goes back quite far to, I believe, 5,000 years ago at least. And we'll look at some of that data. One of the things that we can see now with modern reconstructions of temperature that go back to the Pleistocene is that there was quite a rise in temperature from about 10,000 years ago to 5,000 or 4,000 years ago. You can see this large hump in the graph here. If we look just in the modern times, which is expanded in this diagram, you can see the current problem of global warming as a tremendous sudden rise here, a spike in corresponding with the Industrial Revolution. And certainly compared with the last 2,000 years, that is quite a significant change. But when we do go back 6,000 to 8,000 years ago, we see that its temperatures were almost this high. We've exceeded them now, and the rise was, of course, very rapid and not looking like it's going to stop. So I'm not saying we don't have a problem because of historical temperatures. In fact, things were quite different back then, and those differences would be very catastrophic today. But one of the things that happened, and there seems to be a time lag So we get warm temperatures, and then there's various different buffering effects and feedbacks in the Earth system, so that it takes a while to see changes on the ground, at least major changes. So you can see here at about 5,500 years ago, there was a sudden shift in the monsoon pattern. And it went from about, maybe 5,800 years ago to about 3,600 years ago. And that shift shows up in the Sahel, sub-Saharan Africa region, and also in the Indus Valley. So one of the things that's discussed today is sea level rise, and I just threw this in to show what would happen with a future sea level rise of 20 to 40 meters, which is roughly the amount that we might be able to expect with projected global warming over the next several centuries.